Yeah, we're live now. Yeah, I've been busy. The past 4 days, this maybe being the fifth, has been the most productive days of my life, bar maybe some instances of extreme work back in my college days where I worked, like 30 hours straight or some insane amount of time. But I have, in the past 2 days, set up a personal bank account down here in Vegas so that I can get residency rate golf rates because you got to prove you're a resident. And you can go ahead and get a Nevada ID, not a license, but an ID if you're a part timer, but the documentation of which is very onerous. So I said, to hell with that. I'll just get a bank account and then I'll have like a statement so I could show. And now I save lots of money on golf. And then I set up an LLC in Nevada because they also have anonymous. You could set up an anonymous LLC. Set up a bank account related to that one so that I can register with Amazon under an alias so no one can trace me, and also get under that LLC, which is anonymous, a PayPal account so it is completely removed from me so that I might start writing books under the alias, which I have, and I'm about.
Okay.
And all of it, and it starts with a new email. So I had to pick an alias, pen name I'm going to write under. So I did all of this in the past 4 or 5 days. And I don't want to hear anybody complain about how hard it is to start a business. I mean, it's hard, but like, oh, I'm tired or I'm too busy. I just don't want to hear it because the book it's going to be, I was writing about 20 pages, polished and edited per day. So it's going to be just shy of 100 pages and written in 5 days. Published under an alias. And
this is your lying idea, right?
This is my line. This is Operation Evil, as I like to call it, because instead of telling people the truth, I'm going to tell them lies. And
do you have a chapter on Kavanaugh?
No, I'm not even telling anybody what this book is about. Only people who are editing my book know what it is. And truth be told, it's something completely different from what I've written before, but it is going to be very controversial. Pulls tangentially a couple points to be made from what do we want to call her? Blasey Ford. There's no word that comes up with just what an evil, vile, cowardly woman she is.
Well, she's either evil or she was evil before she did her hypnotherapy on herself to convince herself and implant memories.
I did watch a little. I didn't watch any of the hearings, but just watching it, and I'm just like, how far insane has the country gone that this woman has any credibility? Like, where does it should have been what 36 years ago? Oh, and now, just right when he's about to be nominated as a Supreme Court justice, here's a cup of go fuck yourself.
Right. I mean, we shouldn't have even been talking about it. That's the whole. I mean, it should have been like what, like just like you just said. What, 36 years ago? No corroboration. Bye.
Yeah. No. That's it's not the real story. There is not. Attention whoring whore makes outlandish accusation, laughably 36 years old, high school yearbook entries investigated. It should be the main story is Americans fall for
right. Yep.
Stupid and protest, and now is so stupid. We are just to believe anyone as long as they have a vagina. That's the real story.
Well, wouldn't the newspapers would be really thin? It would just be headline: America's gone insane, and story continues on page 17A or whatever. America is still insane. It's still fucking batshit crazy.
Never been easier to be a journalist. TJ could write like 40 articles in one day, and it would be covering everything he needs to. People batshit insane, now believe woman because vagina, because reasons, because socialism. And that's it. That would be the answer.
If only that was what I covered for my job.
What do you cover for your job? I know what are like, where can people find your articles? Not to propagate you or anything like that, but I know you've written. What are you doing? Local stuff or what do you?
I do industry and business. I do hard news. There's, God, I'm trying to just
be brief. We don't need a repeat of last week.
Right, that's a.
We wanted a number between 1 and 100, and it took you 8 days to come up with
like,
one.
Well, just there's so much. The journalism world is very diverse, and what most people think of is really the fluff. Right. They don't see the actual real journalism because it's boring stuff. It's stuff, I wouldn't say boring. It's just they're not interested in that. They're interested in following the almost tabloid type journalism. And so when they say, "Oh, the journalism quality's gone downhill," well, for that, yeah, but that was always. I mean, even in the days of you had yellow journalism back in the 1900s. I'm not in that field, that part of journalism. It's almost like saying you're an author and then lumping in the woman who wrote 50 Shades of Grey with Tom Wolfe or something like that.
Mm-hmm. I get a kick out of how Yahoo News dares calls itself Yahoo News. What's going on, TJ? You got a fire? Where's this cracking in the background I hear? That.
Oh, that's my fireplace.
Oh, that's your fireplace. All right, you got that thing working.
Oh yeah, things of beauty. Okay. I'll mute 1 second.
Hey, Cap, there's a super chat already. Nick Schulanner. Yeah, $5. He says, "Thanks for kicking my ass the other week, Cappy. I really needed it. Love this podcast."
What did I do? Oh, wait, that was Chris.
No, it's Nick Schulanner. That's the account. The other week, it might have been, did you kick somebody's ass when you were podcasting solo?
Maybe.
On the older brother?
Maybe it was an asshole consulting client. I don't know.
Yeah.
I honestly, the past 5 days has been a blur. I really, I can understand. I remember now what it's like to write books and why I don't do this frequently. But I don't know. Yeah. Well, I'm glad we helped out, Nick. Thanks for the super chat. I appreciate it. But shit, where was I gonna go? I had something to talk about.
You were starting down the fireplace path again.
No, we're not talking about wood and fireplace. I am glad though that TJ has an operational fireplace. Is it that cold you need to have a fire?
It's getting down there. I just like having. I had this thing, not really. It was there, but I wasn't using it for 6 months, and so now I've just wanted to have it. It's kind of a personal thing about this time of year. So,
well, you must have really dry wood. I can hear it crackling in the background. That's awesome, man. That's a nice roaring fire.
Yeah, I don't know if people want to listen to us chat about firewood and
no. I just need to talk about something other than what I've been writing and Operation Evil and it's like I got back from war. I'm like, hey guys, what's up? Let's talk about toilet paper. All right.
Well, did you have some stories you wanted to talk about, Cap? Because
we got plenty of stories. No, I just need to decompress, and I don't even need to go right back to podcasting because I literally came back from the bank, and I'm rushing back, and I had this goal to write this book before the GF gets out here to Vegas, right? And so I've been busting my ass off, busting my ass off. And it really, I don't know if you guys read the article I wrote called, it wasn't The Speed of Clary, but that was in there. But it's like How I Hate Slow People, and I referenced The Speed of Clary. My God, if I want to go full throttle and get my shit done, the rest of the world will. Even if it's something completely within my control, the rest of the world does not go my speed. Because I got to still do asshole consulting. I had to do the podcast here. I didn't do a Clary podcast. And so I'm sitting there. I had 2 hours to get back. Go down to the bank, set up this bank account, come back. 2 hours should be great. I get there, and God bless him. He's a nice banker. But, man, that guy likes to talk. And I'm just like, Oh, that's about your kids. Huh? All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Looking at my watch. I'm like, all right. Yeah. I really got to get going. Oh, yeah. We'll get this done. And then just the stress. And then I get here. I'm like, fuck. DJ, what's up? Fuck you.
It's like the proliferation of small talk.
What's that?
It's the proliferation of small talk. We can't just be direct anymore because that's considered too threatening or violent. So we've got to layer every conversation we have with people with just additional stuff.
Pleasantries.
Pleasantries that we don't need. Whereas, you just want to say, look, we're just here to, I just need to get this out of you. Like you're at the bank or you're at the store or whatever. And they want to sit there and, they act like you're in their living room having dinner with them or something.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I need to go. I'd be like, we are not having this conversation.
I was sitting in the line because, you got to fund your account. So I have to cut a check from my personal check to fund the account. And I'm just sitting there looking because yesterday was a bank holiday. All the procrastinators and people who didn't get their shit done Friday are all lined up like the fucking cattle that they are. And I'm looking and they're chatting and this and that and that and this. I'm like, we need a freaking war. We need to go back to rationing, a global war where you're like, oh shit, these seconds count because we've gotten so damn lazy. We've gotten so damn soft. We just borrow money. Oh yeah. We need a Great Depression, a crippling, starving, where people are literally like tightening their belts means like, where poor kids aren't fat anymore. That would be, I'd like to get back to that, but where poor, starving kids actually look like an emaciated child. That's what we need again, because then people start taking time a little bit more seriously. And they're like, oh yeah, because the hustlers, everyone slows us down. They all slow us hustlers down because we got to use the same infrastructure everybody else does.
See, Clary, though, that's just the cost of you doing business now, because you want the world to stay afloat, right? You just like, if it just hangs on a little longer, I can stay comfortable, right? That's just the cost of doing business now. I mean, we are comfortable, and that makes people lazy, and they're just not, gotta go. Don't need to nowadays. That your meal doesn't depend on it. Your energy doesn't depend on it. Your job doesn't depend on it. Nothing depends on it. So you just got to count your blessings, my man. It's the cost of doing business.
But see, I don't care if the world, I really don't. I'm trying to profit off of it. And then with Operation Evil, I'm trying to advance it on my own microscopic scale, but making a ton of money in the process. But no, the price, if you want to be successful in this world, if you want to have any bit of hustle, the real tax you pay is just slogging through the masses of slow and stupid people who have no desire, none whatsoever, to capitalize and live in a carpe diem. If you want to live carpe diem, the tax you pay is that for everyone who wants to be carpe diem, 99 other people are there with their thumb up their ass, twiddling their freaking twats, and let's do it. Oh my God, at grocery stores they're talking, you got any plans this weekend? Yeah, maybe pay for my fucking groceries and go eat them if they don't spoil by the time you're done fucking talking about coupons.
I look at it, it's interesting you're saying that, because I'm starting to observe that more and more as well, this lack of drive, but it's not so much with people at the grocery store, at the bank or whatever. It's more of people that you're trying to get on board with something that you want to do, whether it's a group activity or part of, not applicable in my case, but just if you're part of a business or you're employed somewhere and you have a great idea and you want to do something, and everybody kind of has this indecisiveness about them that results in nothing getting done. And instead of somebody proposes an idea and the general concept is sound, so you're like, yes, let's do this. We'll figure out the details as we go along, but let's explore this. Instead, they come up with all the different things that may go wrong. What they do is create uncertainty.
Oh, I hate those
indecisive people. Yeah, and I noticed that. I don't know if we want to do another boomer rant, but I'm noticing. I don't know. Like, I'm curious what other people think about this, because I almost wonder if that's a generational thing, because I don't really see that with others. They've got different problems.
What I think it is I think everybody basically is so comfortable now that they are reliving senior year of high school, the coast year, where you just coast. The reason why they bring up all these things is because they don't want to do the work, right? It's like, there's too much risk. It is that way in business and everywhere. It's like people
this isn't even
just don't want to do anything. They're just coasting.
Right. And I'm just wondering, like, why you know, and I'm speaking as a man, when you have an idea and you have the enthusiasm, and to have somebody basically deconstruct that enthusiasm or put the brakes in front of it is kind of it'll kill an organization, like indecisiveness or whatever. And I don't care if you're talking about a business, or you're talking about a social club, or you're talking about just a group of friends or whatever. Imagine you were with a group of friends and you propose doing something, and the others are just coming up with all these different reasons why that may go wrong. Yeah, and you're just thinking, let's just go do this. Let's just go. We'll figure it out then. Let's stop. You know, whatever it is. You propose a hike, or you want to go to this, go out and play pool, and then they spend 20 minutes talking about the different bars that you could go to and why you should go to this one. Well, I don't know. Maybe not. Maybe not that one. Let's go to this one, and then you end up not doing anything.
I'll give you the perfect example where this happens.
DT's the perfect example.
Well, no, I'm going to give you guys the perfect example. And no, DT, this has, because you're bought and sold. You got a wife, you got kids. Yeah. You're happy. When I try to set friends up, because I have quite a wide array of friends, we're all generally on the same page when it comes to politics, and I do know a fair amount of women, many of who are pretty unattractive. And I'm like, oh, you would love to meet so-and-so, or so-and-so would love to meet such and such. And some good friends of mine say, hey, I'm like, yeah, I actually do. And so, whereas in the olden days, it was always women that would find a reason to say no. And I guarantee, and it is still to this day, this is one of the main reasons we could talk about differences in degrees and how many hours you put into the work office. But another reason that men are more successful than women is that we always find a way to say yes. Women will always find a way to say no. Men are less risk averse. Women are more risk averse. And it's not worse or bad. It's just what it is. But now more recently, and it angers me because it's people who are on my side who say, no, I don't want to have production. No, I don't want to capitalize on my life, is when I'll say, hey, I know a guy in this place that you should meet. And I know a girl in that place you should meet. I say, well, let's have you two meet. And I always get the excuses why they can't. You know the number one excuse why they can't meet?
They're too busy working or something.
Nope.
Travel distance problems.
Travel distance. Well, he lives there, and I live here. And I'm sitting there thinking, like, with today's technology and how cheap flight is, and how much money you're going to piss away, and time, by the way, trying to find a high quality. Let's just admit it. The number one thing of value in this world right now is a traditional quality, non-fat woman. Can we agree on that?
I second the motion.
I'd agree. Yeah.
Yeah. Name me one thing that has more value. I don't know. But you show me a young, attractive, not fat, not rank communist leftist piece of shit woman who wants to be a traditional and support her husband. Maybe not stay at home. Maybe she's into it fine, but she just wants to love a man. She's not fat and she's not a leftist. That is one of the rarest qualities. And men have spent trillions of dollars in our lifetimes alone, going to nightclubs, going out, working out, all this effort, resource, and energy men put into finding girls. And then when I say, hey, you might have to shed $300 and a weekend of your time and maybe get $100 car rental to go meet this girl. Oh, no, she lives over in Seattle. Oh, he lives over in Pennsylvania. I was like, yeah, you know what? Fuck it. Go to your nightclubs for the next 6 months, piss away at least $5 grand, and then tell me what's more profitable.
I don't know if the men going to the nightclubs are looking for a traditional wife. If they are, that's a different consulting problem than their willingness to travel. That's where they need to sit down and say, okay, here's the stereotypical girl at a nightclub. And I know that there's going to be some people who will say, well, you know, there's not a lot of difference between the girls at, say, a bookstore or coffee club or whatever. It's like, okay, you go to a venue where the personality type is, you know, the type you're looking for, but girls are not. This is the more important part. Girls do not go to nightclubs to meet their future husband. So if you're there trying to find, like, somebody correct me if I'm wrong here, but so if you're there trying to find a traditional, I think that's the biggest problem is it's a question of what are you trying to look for and what do you really want?
This is not young kids. We're talking people my age, people you guys know, friends of ours who are single, And TJ, you came down that one time to meet that one girl, right? You put in the effort, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you did. All right. So kudos to you. I tip my hat. But I got people who make damn fine money and could just hop or skip out a flight away. And I get all the reasons things don't work. And I'm kind of like, God damn.
I think people are just, I think there's a lot of social skill problems. I think people, and I'm not going to, I'm not saying that this is necessarily people's fault or due to them, but technology has changed a lot of the ways that we do things. And there's been the people who are supposed to say, okay, here's the rules, here's how you behave. Like people, I think, I don't know. I think that people are very dysfunctional nowadays when it comes to dating. And as much as we want to blame people, and I especially enjoy making fun of my people in my generation about some of this stuff, I think a part of it is just the total chaos and anarchy that's resulted from this, where people don't know, they have no idea what they say is going to be interpreted by the other person. They don't know how to read the other person. It's funny because I was talking to an older gent who works with people in like their 20s or whatever. I think it's like counseling or just helping out, and he says, I can't read these people, these young people. They don't, their facial expressions do not convey what they're actually thinking.
That's because all the women have permanent resting bitch face. They got the PBR, the Plax Blue ribbon face.
I think you should do, Cap, though, when you're trying to set people up, you should have like what's behind curtain number 2. So curtain number 1 is the chick. That's why you're going down there. You're going down there to meet the chick. But you've traveled to all these places too, and so you should say, and there's this great hike you can do here if things don't work out. Just have a little consolation prize so that if they're making the trip, that there's at least Cappy has recommended going and hiking this cliff or whatever, or going to this cigar bar, or all the things that you've discovered in your travels over the years. You could combine the two. You could have a dating and hiking service or something like that.
Well, that's what social events used to be about. It was a way for the explicit thing was we're getting together to do a high school dance or a college dance. But the implicit thing was it's an opportunity for men and women to meet each other without any expectations. You meet and say hi, but you don't have to like call them the next day or anything else. And we've completely demolished those.
The reason, DT, you are right. It could be like The Price is Right. You didn't win the car, but here's a consolation prize.
Right. Exactly.
It gets back to the psychology, of which I think it was Freud of all people, who I think was a whack job. But people will not appreciate anything unless they pay. And so this is why I definitely, once I'm done going through this mad dash, creating a whole new, like basically publishing company, I am going to get that dating site up and running, and I'm going to charge people. Because then it'd be like, oh yeah, in addition to the $300 for the flight and the $200 for the car and the $100 for the hotel, I'm going to charge you another $500 for the show. Oh, that sounds like a good deal. Okay, I'll go meet.
Well, no, it's true. I think you're absolutely right. I think that's a great idea, because I think another part of it just occurred to me is people are always thinking, well, what's the catch?
There's no catch. No,
I'm just saying that's going to be their overthinking
it. These are friends of ours we know. These are good people. These are smart, logical men. It's not they're thinking, what's a catch? They know, they trust it. There's this unknown reason. I mean, I got to put a gun to these people's head and say, go chase that hot girl over there. And now I'm starting to be more Zen, more Buddha, more judo. And I'm just going to say, no. Sensei, Sun Tzu say, Confucius say, no push, errand friend. Go to Seattle, meet hot girl.
No, Confucius just charge them. No, do exactly what you just said. Charge them, and charge them a lot, and say, for this amount of money, I will refer you to this girl.
I know. Oh, I got it, guys. I got a slew. That's kind of a poor word. That sounds pejorative, like a slew of women. It sounds like, no, we have a menu, an exotic, prestigious menu of women that all these guys are going to bid their fucking life savings over, and they're going to give it to me. I'll let them meet these girls. And then I did figure out pricing. It's going to be $500 for a date. And then I don't care how many dates you go after that. It's up to you guys. But then if you get married, I'm going to trust people on the honor system. They owe me $4,000 if they get married, and I got to get flown out to the wedding, and they got to pay for my lodging.
Hey, if you're good at doing something, never do it for free.
Right.
I just can't wait to see the eHarmony commercial, the C Harmony, the Cappy Harmony commercials with the goofy music in the background. Cappy comes up. Oh, having trouble? However that guy does it, where he's like popping up from behind a bush when people are on dates or whatever.
Yeah, he's got the glasses. Oh, we got things with 47 different components of personality. Exactly. Why are you looking for guys here?
Trying to see
Harmony.
Trying to see you keep a straight face in that commercial would be
Oh
priceless.
God, no. It would be everything. It'd be everything DT says. Like it'll be the and I come up. What the fuck is wrong with you? What the fuck? I just gave you the fucking thing. Give me your fucking money. Get her the fucking plane. I'm kicking a guy's ass up a plane. Like get on that fucking plane. Go meet that bitch and set you up with. Hey, are you having trouble meeting girls? come to. Yeah, what is it? C Harmony.
C Harmony.
C Harmony. I'll get you a girl.
And don't forget
what the fuck are you doing here, Mr. Flight? Jesus fucking Christ! No, you're not getting your money back.
Yeah. Just say no refunds.
Yeah. Then don't forget your hiking boots. Ding. Oh, glint in your eye.
I imagine DT, you got to be pretty happy you didn't have to deal with any of this dating shit.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I guess at the time I didn't think I wasn't happy, but looking back with how crazy things are, it's like, yeah, maybe I lucked out. Maybe I dodged one there like Neo.
Yeah, the older I get, now maybe it's just because I'm getting more removed from time, but all my conquests and all the girls I slayed and all that, it's sadly becoming less and less valuable. I won't deny, I won't say it's beneath me, but my notch count for the number of years I was dating was actually quite high. I'm kind of still proud of that because that's kind of like an accomplishment. You're genetically programmed to bang as many women as possible, and then it's also a skill. Like you gotta be charming, you gotta woo. I mean, it's kind of a testament to or a judgment as to like how good of a man, and I'm good morally, but how manly did you become? Is kind of like the number of girls that you slayed. But after a while, you're like, fuck this shit. That was such a pain in the ass. There was too much drama, too much cost, too much taxation on your mentality.
Yeah.
That it's like, God, you kind of look at like, you almost have like a not a post-apocalyptic, what's the word I'm looking for? Post something.
Like
post-traumatic stress.
PTSD.
Yeah, you almost get out of it like, what the you don't realize you're the thing.
PTSDs? PTSDs? What?
No, it's like you get medals for, bravery. You dated a redhead or something like that.
You survived the redhead campaign of 97.
Of course, a young man now in his late teens and early 20s just cold approaching a girl and asking her out and whatever. That kid in this environment deserves some sort of recognition of some kind, depending on the environment. I mean, and also depending on how friendly the girl is. I mean, if she's all smiles and giggles and just basically in all but saying, please ask me out, that's one thing. But if, she's being a little standoffish and he just completely blows through it, then,
Well, here's the crazy close thing. I gotta tell you this. Have you guys been watching that show, Jack Ryan, at all?
No, I haven't.
This relates. I'm not coming out from nowhere here. So I'm watching the show Jack Ryan, and they made a huge deal. You just talked about a young man today who cold approaches and asks a girl out, to her face. That's a huge accomplishment now. On this fucking show, Jack Ryan, which is about like, the uber, military mind guy that's also got it kind of figured out physically. And, Jack Ryan, Tom Clancy.
Michael Kingswood.
Yeah, they made a big deal on the show about him texting a girl out. It's like, what? Like he was a manly man because he figured out a way how to text a girl out. And it's like, man, the standards have just dropped for what it is to be like a manly man now. Like you're saying.
Wait. Hold it. Explain this again. He just texted a girl asking her out?
Yeah, and that was like a big deal. It was like on the show, it was a big deal that he figured out how to get this girl interested through a text. So it's totally. I mean, that's what guys are doing now.
Sean Connery would be rolling in his grave if he wasn't still alive.
Even Harrison Ford, the original Jack Ryan, would be like, "What? Texting a girl? This was the big deal."
Alec Baldwin was the first.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Alec Baldwin. Yeah.
What TJ? I mean, do boys even ask girls out anymore? I mean, you're closest to it than we are. Is it happening anymore? Like in person?
Yeah, but it's all, I would say, no, I don't think dating is really going on. What I think it is that at some point there's a relationship, but it's after everything's undefined and very ambiguous. And I think that there's a lot of confusion about what the rules are, about what that's just my observation. I haven't really, I haven't done a sociological study on these kids, but I just listen to some of their conversations when I'm either in the weight room or I'm in town or whatever. But I don't think that they go out on any kind of formal dates anymore. I just think that that's completely dead.
God, I remember that. That was
they ask them to go watch a movie. That's what they do. They say, "You want to watch a movie at my place, or do you want to go get a drink?" Depending on the age, if they're
that's the Netflix and chill. Yeah, the Netflix and chill.
Yeah, Netflix. No, that seriously is probably how most of them hang out. You want to hang out. That's the new. That's the new.
I remember there was a ton of planning. A ton of planning. Like that was the thing, is you had to plan and choose carefully. You know, you had to strategize. A lot went into planning a date. Like, okay, I'm gonna take her here, and this will be the kind of relaxing place. And then depending on, we'll have the main event here, but I don't know. Okay, and we'll try. And then if it's really good, I'm gonna take her to this bar, but she's by my place. And you know, you'd kind of have it lined up a little bit. And if it bails, then I'll go here. I'll drop her off or something like that. Now it's just, you want to come over and watch movies.
Well, there's a guy in the chat who's saying that they still ask out girls, and if they don't have the number, they just Facebook or then text. Yeah, like I said, I don't know for sure, but that's just been my observation. I think that it really depends on the age, and it depends on what area, because there's some areas that are really the ground zero for cultural and social changes. And then it creeps over into other areas. So some areas take a long time to really incorporate what's going on. So I don't know. It kind of just shows how I feel old sometimes when I hear some of these kids talking about Snapchat and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Or talk. I don't know. But do the younger kids even use Facebook anymore? That's what I'm curious about. I thought they were all on Snapchat.
I don't know. There's a night and day difference between a 14-year-old, a 24-year-old, and a 34-year-old.
Right.
In terms of what their dating tactics are. I'd like to provide some advice, but I think now it's just everything's going to be on the internet now, which is actually kind of good, because you could screen people out and develop an internet relationship, and then it's a little bit safer for you to go out in person. But yeah, I guess those days where you had to walk right up to the girl in whatever freshman comp class and say, "Hey, I'm going to go get this and that on this. Do you want to come with?" And she say no. And you're like, shit. No, I can't sit in the same spot in freshman comp class, because that's where I was my home. Now for the next nine weeks, I got to sit somewhere else.
I got to think it's easier to do it via text. I mean, look at how easy it is for people to go completely fucking insane and raged and just, threatening people's lives. And, you just, you hit that okay button, or you hit that send button, or you hit that, I mean, it's so easy, and then it's gone. And however the response comes back, you just deal with it. They're not looking at you. You're not having to stammer over your words. You're not having to have any kind of human interaction really at all. It's just words on a screen. Mm-hmm. And however it comes back is, I guess it didn't work, or great, she's coming over. It's got to be easy.
It's a video game.
Yeah.
So Cappy, we've got a super chat.
Okay.
It's from Darius, and he says, "Yes, we still ask out girls. We're not retarded," which is good. It's good. And we don't, or at least I don't want to be somebody who's looking down on younger kids, because I see a lot of them who are actually figuring stuff out.
Plus, you are one.
I'll say what?
Plus, you are one.
You are younger.
Well, I'm talking about people in their early 20s or whatever. But
oh, those kids. Oh, okay, all right. Not the old wise sage you are.
Oh gosh. I've always identified more with people who are just older in life in terms of the way that I view things. As far as the dating thing online, you know what the other problem is the question of, do you feel comfortable communicating with people about that kind of stuff, that people you've never met, like a very unnatural form of communication, as opposed to somebody who really relies on all the different ways that you interpret somebody's what they're saying to you. So like body language, demeanor, tone, and all that kind of gets eliminated unless you're doing Skype or whatever. All that gets eliminated, and so it can be hard for certain types of people to read. So online dating can be great for certain types of people with a certain mindset, but for others, I think, especially, I'm curious about how it affects introverts. I think that the modern dating environment is the worst is for introverts. If you're extroverted, it's not as much of a problem. I think for introverts, I think that's where it's taken the biggest hit. But I'm curious what you guys think.
I'm just glad I'm done. I'm so glad I'm done.
I've been done for a long time. I've been done for a long time. That doesn't mean the work's over. It doesn't mean the work's over, but I've been done for a long time.
No, the amount, I'll tell you this. Let me sing the praises of the GF because, well, and DT, you know, well, both of you guys know her, I think. TJ, you've met the GF, right?
Yeah.
Okay, never mind. You guys have met her. It's not that this is how you tell you're an old wise man. It's not that she's hot. It's not that she gives great head. It's not that she's sexy. It's that she's not painful. It's that it's quiet and it's pleasant and there's no drama. I think that's like the least amount of problems is what ultimately is what guys are looking for, where it's just like serenity. You know, you're not asking for a crazy woman in the sack. You're just asking for a gal that carries her own weight, and there's a support in the form of silence. That's what I like.
Puts up with your bullshit, right?
It's not even putting up with what bullshit. Oh yeah,
what
all the horrible things I do, like paying off the house and supporting myself and being able to field us and fixing the car. Yeah, I'm a whore. I always get a kick out of that. You know, my mom, because she doesn't understand. My mom, you know, she really thinks I'm like this difficult guy that only pure angels can tolerate. And you know, like, you know, you should be appreciative if any girl talks to you because you're kind of hard to get along with. It's like, Mom. Yes, and then you just realize, yeah, Mom, thank you. I am very difficult to get along with, but she's lucky to have me. I'll tell you that.
Do you have conversations about people moving too slow? Get out of the way. Or do you
that's the GF too. Like, but This is every woman. You'll be like, for example, DT. Does Mrs. DT know where your house is?
What?
Does Mrs. DT know where your house is?
Yes.
Right. And the GF also knows where her house is. Uh-huh. And you would think driving back home literally thousands of times, the GF would say, hey, we're almost home. Maybe I should gather my things now so that when we park the car, I just grab it, get out, and we go into the house. Now, this doesn't matter if it's a pleasant 79 degrees in summer, but if it's January and minus 20, then it matters because then old Clairmeister has to stand out there and wait. Like, what is taking so long? Why is this taking 2 minutes? So I have the policy. I just walk in the house. I don't care if it's slippery ice, black ice. Just walk right in the house. So there's still the Jesus Christ, let's go here. But that's more a function of me than it is other people. That's my flaw. I
think that's what I meant by bullshit. I think that might have been what I meant.
It's not bullshit. I'm right. I am right. You should be gathering your shit, male or female, doesn't matter. So we're not standing out there in the freaking cold.
Yes. Yes, you're right, Clary. You're right.
I am. You know, like when you get up, the GF doesn't do this, but millions of other people do. You're standing in line at the restaurant. There's the fucking menu put on the fucking wall. They get up. It's like you have 5 minutes to figure this out. What the fuck are you doing determining now? I'm right. They're wrong. This is not debatable.
Yeah, we need a society for the prevention of indecisiveness.
Just getting me in charge, and we're going to have schools. There won't be re-education camps. There'll be hustle camps. It'll involve a lot of sticks and switches and caning. And the people come out, and they're like 100% faster and more efficient.
Clary, the waiter, he'd come up to the table and he'd go, "Well, would you like to drink, miss?" And she'd be like, well, didn't you see the fucking menu hanging on the fucking wall? I'll be back when you're ready.
Give you 5 fucking minutes since you walked in the door. What the fuck have you been doing? You're not supposed to talk. Put the fucking food in your mouth. Do you want dessert? Well, fucking figure it out.
Can you imagine Cappy as a bartender? Somebody orders a really expensive drink or really hard drink to make or whatever that takes 5 minutes to put together.
Do we have any super chat stuff going on? We go down the super chat.
There were a couple that came by in the past that I did not say, but Nick Shoelander gave another $2 and said, "Cappy, we don't need a war. We need a Thanos snap," which I think you've talked about before.
I love that. I love that phrase, the Thanos snap. We need a Thanos snap.
Yeah, that is a good phrase. Kevin Rees, $5, says, "Always look forward to these podcasts. Thanks for the content." So you've been getting money for them to compliment you.
This is a lot. No, this is a lot of super chats. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Like last week or 2 weeks before, it was a couple of bucks. All of a sudden, now this is one of the. If we keep this up, I'll make some damn good money, and then I can. And I don't know what I can do. I don't get groceries. I don't.
Like
you can spend an extra. You can spend an extra 5 minutes at the grocery store talking to the clerk.
We'll do the maintenance stuff. Yeah, we all got super chats. If you want, you guys don't do that. If you don't want to do super chats, but you want to get something in return for your money, we have the Amazon affiliate program, olderbrother.com/donate. And you can donate through PayPal or a Patreon. Did I tell you guys this? I was successful in finding a model who's willing to do like a 1950s pinup model and lingerie bikini thing. If we get Patreon donations. So if we get enough of that, then I put up a pinup of the girl on the Patreon site. So we got that. Mary Jo Rodriguez, did you guys watch any of the videos that she did for me?
No.
All right. We got a pretty girl. She's helping out with some of the videos as well. And solely because she's pretty and she's fun to pick on. She's easy to pick on. And so there's a little bit of give and take there. So if you're sick and tired of looking at my ugly mug, look for the thumbnails on the channel with Mary Jo Rodriguez. She is helping us out. Nice lady there. Then the Amazon affiliate plan, that is on olderbrother.com/donate. Click on that. You guys actually get something in exchange for that. Then what else? I think that's it. That's all I really want to do. I don't want to do any sponsors or anything like that. I'll say
Older Brother email.
Oh, yeah, olderbrother@yahoo.com if you guys get. Let me check that. I haven't checked that in a while. Let's take a look at that.
Snap. Somebody said snap.
Oh, snap.
Snap. Just responding to the Thanos snap. I think that person was snapping.
When is that other movie coming out, the second one? Because the hell if I'm going to go see Miss Vagina or Miss Marvel, I'm not going to see that damn show.
I'm sure it's next year. I'm sure it's supposed to be back to back.
Dude, what is that? What are they gonna do now that they're done with those movies? Because they've been doing it since I think Iron Man came out in 2008.
Oh, you think they're done? That's gonna be all over?
Well, I know that.
Well, don't tell me the story. I haven't looked it up.
No. I know nothing about it. I just remember what's his name? Who's the guy who plays Captain America. He just tweeted
the idiot leftist that plays Captain America.
The guy, do you know who he dated? Do you know who he dated?
Yeah, who? Yeah. I told you this.
Who?
Amy Schumer. Chris Evans dated Amy freaking Schumer.
Yep. Yeah, but he did. Yeah, he said that when he's done with Captain America, he's done acting. Period. That's his last role.
Oh, it's last role.
Yeah. I suppose he figures you can't do much. You can't do any better than Captain America, says the leftist. I mean, it's like, what? How do you?
Well, I'm just. I guess my original point was that the assumption that the takeaway from that I thought was that they weren't going to. I mean, how many more Iron Man films is going to turn into the Rocky series where we're doing Iron Man and then they're going to do the Pepper Potts films or whatever? Or I just think
it'll keep going as long as they've got material and as long as people are still spending money. I think.
I mean, we can talk about this we can talk about this if we want to, but for example. Star Wars, after they released The Last Social Justice Warrior, and that caused the Han Solo movie to tank. They're still not only keeping Kathleen Kennedy on, but they're going to be. I don't know if we already talked about this on a podcast, but
we did.
Covered it. Okay, yeah, we won't have to go through that.
I just watched the Walking Dead premiere, and I'm real worried that the new showrunner Angela Kang is going to totally fuck it up. It was easily the worst premiere. Out of the whole 9 seasons. So usually the first episode is great, and this one was boring as fuck. Mrs. DT turns to me and is like, I'm bored. So
what's the showrunner?
Sort of executive producer, head writer. It's the person that basically is looking out for the entire show, especially the writing of it and how things are all going to link together and how the story is going to develop and what the characters are going to be.
Change the show writer?
Yeah, I mean, shows change writers quite a bit, and Walking Dead's been through 3 or 4 transitions, and the quality has never really suffered. But this particular writer, one of my least favorite episodes in the past, was written by her, and so I just had a bad feeling that when she's taken over, it's going to be more of that crap. So. We'll see. It's the first episode, but usually the first episode of a season is meant to really draw you in. And this one was just real. I read the comics, so I know what the story should be and kind of how the comics did it. And I also, I've written screenplays and things in the past, and I'm just like, this is not how you introduce this season at all.
Huh. I wonder if that's what happened. I don't know if you guys ever watched Sherlock Holmes with Benedict Cumberbatch.
The show? No.
Yeah, the show.
Yeah, I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's great. It's great. But then the last 3, they did a bunch of episodes, and then there was like a year or 2 hiatus, and they came back with 3 more. And those last 3 were just feminist ass.
Huh.
They were emotional tampons with Benedict Cumberbatch's accent. That's all it was. And I was. You thought like, oh, is this the next one? No, it's even worse than the first. And then the third was worse than the second. And that just ended. I'm trying to figure out what has ended on a worse. It ended like Happy Days. That really did jump the shark in that one.
Right.
It was that bad. Although, now, did you guys ever watch Last Man Standing?
I was just about to bring that up. I was like, speaking of good news with TV. I've been watching it sort of after it all came out. And I just was dying, like how funny Tim Allen is, and also the stuff he got away with saying on a modern TV show compared to other stuff. But yeah, I heard the ratings are great.
I'll have to check that out. I keep on hearing good things about it. So
that'd be a great family, because your daughters are old enough now. I think they get a lot of the jokes. There's if anything a tasteful, maybe adult sexual joke that isn't too crass, but. That's totally a family show, and it is funny. It is funny. Even with the 2 new episodes, they lost one of their main actresses, and my favorite one, unfortunately, I don't know how many people watch it, but the gal's name is Molly Ephraim, and I thought she was the best actor in there because of the person she played, and then she's gone. I'm like, oh no, really? But they delivered it so well on the new episode, and they recovered from going from ABC to Fox that it's no shock that they also got the best ratings the next week.
Well, that's a sign of, and DT can probably weigh in on this too, since he has direct experience, but that's a sign of a good script writer. Somebody who knows how to, usually when shows are transitioning in that kind of way, the audience tends to feel as though the spirit of the show has been lost. And that's usually because there's a script problem. So for them to have recovered like this from a move, and also being several years on a hiatus and to come back just as strong is a good sign. It means that whoever they brought along with them for this new season, either they brought a new person in or they kept the same people. It's a good sign.
What I love about it is I think that show was off the air for a year, maybe a year and a half, and they have very specific sets. You know, like the house looks a certain way, and then the office looks a certain way, and this and that. And so I know they had to rebuild these sets from scratch, and it looks exactly the same.
Great. It's
great. Like it was like I don't know if this is what it would be like in the world of television, but that must be the biggest finger you could give ABC. Like, oh yeah, you think you're special? We got this down to the finishing nail to make it look exactly like it was before. And you don't even realize, like, that was the other thing that I had to keep reminding myself, that's a different set. That is not where they were before. This is a completely different set.
Right. Yep. Yeah. Right. So yeah, all the money it took to destroy the previous one, and they took the time and the effort to build a new one just the same, like they never destroyed it. That is a great FU. You think you think it could tear us down? Fuck you. We're gonna build it right back up again the same way it was.
Hey, Cappy, has Mike Rowe been on that show as a guest?
He has been, yeah. He plays what's his face? He plays Tim Allen's brother that occasionally.
Oh my gosh, I was about to. That's crazy. Like I said, I haven't seen all the episodes, but I was just about to say that it would be the only way that show could get better is if they had Mike Rowe as brother or cousin or whatever. You know, yeah, like those two guys go. As far as the culture and lifestyle and values of those two guys, go really hand in hand.
You do know that Mike Rowe actually has worked those jobs, whereas Tim Allen merely played a guy.
Right. I'm talking about the characters in the show. I mean, I've got buddies. The guys who got me into that show really come from that background where they work hard, they pay their taxes, they have invested wisely, they've made all the right life choices, and they feel like there was no character on TV that was like them that was celebrated. They felt like the only characters like them was being denigrated, made fun of. He was the butt of all the jokes. He was stupid, lame. And then there comes Tim Allen, who's this unapologetic version of themselves. And he's the one getting all the good jokes in the show. So you really can tell how that makes him popular, because for a lot of men who that's their only way of expressing themselves, I guess.
Well, the other thing that you'll notice, although it's not overt, it's just his character, is that Tim Allen is the alpha male. Like, he is the patriarch. Father knows best. In the end, like, if he's got to put the foot down, he will. And it's that, he'll let people run, figure things out, and stumble about on their own and make their mistakes. But if it comes to, he makes a decision, and he says this. He doesn't even say this is final. It's his wisdom is evident. No, we're not going to do this. Yes, we are going to do that. It's just a darn good show, but it's just nice. It is political, but in a mocking humor way against the left. But it how could I put it? A lot of the episodes, you might get some zingers in against leftists,
right?
But the morals or the overall plot of the show is one of more wholesome. You could even say Andy Griffith style level of morals and lessons.
Yeah, it's Andy Griffith for a modern audience without coming off as too cheesy. We don't have to go down this path because it's a little bit different, but it's related. Is keep in mind, Tim Allen could have spent, I believe, his entire life in prison because of drug stuff back in the 70s or whatever. And he took a plea deal, and I think the judge gave him this just, turn your life around type speech. But it kind of just makes you wonder how many other Tim Allens there might have been had things turned out differently. It just kind of goes to show you how crazy life can be, like looking at all this great stuff that Tim Allen has done since then because of that one major life change. And how much different things would have been if he hadn't taken that deal. if they hadn't even offered it to begin with, if they just thrown. I mean, think of Tim Allen just spending the rest of his life in prison, coming out 20 years later on parole or whatever, and basically contributing nothing to our society.
Oh, God. Well, we would have lost. You would have lost, not Tool Time. That was the name of the show. Home Improvement. You would have lost the, what's the Pixar show with the toys? Toy Story.
Toy Story, yeah.
The whole series. He did some kind of like, what was it? The Star Trek spoof.
Yeah, he did Santa Claus and.
Yeah. Right. And then he did Stand Up, and then he did Last Man Standing. But also, I think with the stuff that he's been doing recently, I think that this is when he's been actually the most influential in terms of, he's one of those guys who's able to say stuff or promote his show, and he basically isn't beholden to anyone anymore. He has enough clout to where he can say, great, you don't want to have our show. You don't want to host or produce our show. We'll go somewhere else. We don't need you.
Right.
Well, and what I also like, he probably has enough money. He saved up enough. He doesn't need it. And he truly has that position of fuck you. And it's good to see that he still cares. I know he says that his politics is his own business, but he wouldn't be putting this much effort and this well thought out political dialogue in there if he didn't care at some level. And plus, I'll tell you this, I'll hire an ex-con any day before I hire some pussy liberal arts. I would, because at least you go to prison, that hardens you up a bit. Or a lot, a lot.
That's true.
And God Almighty, you give me a guy who had to be so destitute to commit a crime, and then he gets busted, and then he's working. That guy's gone through more real world stuff than some pussy limp dick swipple coming out of the suburbs and going getting their whatever.
That's a great point.
So we've got a super chat. It's from Darius again. It's $2, and he's saying except for Hank Hill. So I think he's referring to what I was previously saying about how there wasn't like your archetype American man who just does what he's supposed to do. That was on King of the Hill.
Bobby.
I'll say it again.
I said Bobby, the boy in line.
Oh God, I'm not going to try and do. I have a good impression of him, but
who would? Okay, of everyone that we have here in the older brother podcast genre, who would be Boomhauer? I'm trying to think who Boomhauer would be. Would it be Doc? Doc? Who would Doc? Doc would be.
But you're talking about a small town in Texas. I don't.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think.
If we had,
I hate to say it, DT would have to be Hank. You'd have to be. You're the most normal and stable of us. Who's Dale? No one's anal enough to be Dale. We got too many cool people to have a Dale. Never mind, it won't work. We don't have. Have too many.
No. That was a good show. But I think the thing is that it had ended, and so there was a vacuum. But also, I don't know how many people aspire to be Hank Hill. He was sort of that average guy who sold propane tanks at a gas station
and propane accessories
and
propane accessories.
Right. And so whereas Tim Allen's character in Last Man Standing, most guys are like, yeah, this guy's actually pretty cool. He's witty. He's clearly the one who's calling the shots on stuff. And so I guess that was kind of my point, is they're looking for a guy who's not only like them, but someone who is clearly by the show saying, this is someone that you can admire and you should admire.
Hey, DT, do you have, speaking of that show, I know you haven't watched it, but one thing I kind of envy about the show, some people fantasize about the women or this. I fantasize about the work group he has. It's a bunch of guys that hang out at a tackle and bait store. Have you got that rapport over at your new job yet, or is it not that cool?
For now, this is on King of the Hill, or what are you talking about?
No, not on King of the Hill. On Last Man Standing.
Okay,
he works at basically a Cabela's. Essentially.
Oh, okay. So instead of the hardware store, he's at a sporting goods store now, and
right. And there's a bunch of guys, and I'm just kind of watching how they all rip on each other. I mean, do you got that camaraderie at the place you work, or is it still stuffy?
Well, it's not stuff. I wouldn't say it's stuffy. I wouldn't say that. it's just it's bureaucratic, you know, and yeah, it's typical bureaucracy type of situation. And but I will say that I am surprised by what people say sometimes, given kind of the affirmative action, you know, anybody but a white male attitude of a lot of businesses and stuff nowadays, or wherever you happen to be working. That's a focus, and I don't know. I get surprised by it sometimes. People are still at least a little bit outspoken, and hasn't been completely beat out of people to have to walk around eggshells around everybody. So, but I mean, it's work. I mean, it sucks. Like you said, work sucks. You're not going to find a place where you're going to be, you know, just having tons of fun. It's just, that's not going to happen.
I was just kind of hoping a place like that existed in the real world, and I don't have to watch TV to see it.
Right, exactly. I think it's just, you know, I think if I've thought that, you know, when you got enough money and you don't need to be doing the rat race anymore, why don't you just, you know, coast? Yeah, coast. Go take an easy job, and just bullshit around. I mean, if you don't need the money, why are you working so hard and ruining your life and having no fun? When, I mean, one of the better jobs I had, honestly, was working at a bowling alley. You know, I did that for a little while in between, you know, my professional jobs. And, you know, you just show up and you just, you know, do your thing and joke around a little bit, try to stay productive. Nobody expects too much of you. And then once they figure out that they can't, you know, push you around, then things might get difficult. But
I thought it would get easier. Like, they don't fuck with you.
Well, it all depends on if you see, a lot of these kinds of jobs like that, they want somebody that they can push around. They want somebody, oh, you got to show up at 5 a.m. and clean the toilets, or you got to do this. And so I was kind of doing my own thing, and the place came under new management, and he basically sort of forced me out of there by his what he was trying to get me to do, because I didn't need to be there. So I don't know. If you can find that, I think it would be perfect. I think it would be perfect if you could find that situation where the owner or the manager knows that you're really smart, you're really hardworking. They're lucky to have you. You're taking this job when you could be making a hell of a lot more money. And so it's just the cost of doing business that you're going to be kind of your own person and call your own shots. And it's better that they have you. I mean, a lot of these places, like you were saying before, you would rather hire an ex-con than these flaky soy boys now. These places have a hard time getting people just showing up for work. And so I think that's a gold mine for us who have our shit together, is that if we can walk away from our stressful job and go into a less stressful job and show up, and that's all we need to do, they should be appreciative of it.
Well, I remember kind of having a little bit of envy. We all wanted to go to McDonald's and buy McDonald's. Well, somebody gave McDonald's guff, and I said, you know what? Fine, I'm going to go eat at McDonald's more. And so, like, for 3 days in a row, I went to McDonald's, and I was kind of looking in the back. And yeah, it sucks working fast food. And yeah, I know you got to do the fryer and you stink at the end of the night. I'm sure the pay is shit. But you know what? They were all happy, and they were all giving each other shit.
Right.
And okay, no one was gonna buy their house over on Lake Wayzata or whatever. But I was just kind of looking like they're happier than anyone. You took the average level of happiness those 3 days that I saw. That was like 18 times more happy than the average level of happiness I ever saw in banking. Yeah. And so I was thinking maybe pulling like a Lester Burnham from what's the movie? American Beauty, where he goes and he works at the fast food joint.
Well, that really.
You guys ever seen this movie?
No, but I've read enough about it to know what you're saying. Where a guy just says, "Screw it," he's lived his life, you know, very conformist, and then he decides to make some radical changes.
Yeah, he quits his high-paying job and he goes and he works at a fast food joint. And well, the classic scenes in that movie is he's like a 45-year-old guy. He's in his suit and he's getting interviewed by this 16-year-old kid. And the 16-year-old kid's looking at him like, I don't think you fit in here. And he's like, well, you know, that would be age discrimination. You can't do this. He's like, yeah, but I don't know if you have experience. And he's like, I have experience. And he points from 1978. He's like, yeah, from 30 years ago. And he's just batting this kid around. He's like, well, I'm sure there have been many advances in fast food technology, but you must have some kind of training program. Next scene, he's got his hat on, he's smiling, and he's flipping burgers.
You know,
well, it's like well, there's Office Space where that happens, where the guy takes the manual labor job being outside, and then that's the whole idea behind Atlas Shrugged, with all the people that have gone galt, is that there would be some guy that's working as a fry cook, and he's some rich guy, some rich successful guy that said, fuck it, this society doesn't appreciate me anymore, I'm going to do what I want to do and just operate this, be a short order fry cook. And he made the best eggs the person had ever tasted or whatever. And I think
that's the end of Atlas Shrugged.
I think it's throughout. It's I haven't read the whole book because it's really fucking long. She's really fucking wordy, and she needed an editor. But but it's throughout. The main characters are always coming across these people that you could tell that there's something special about them, and that they stand out in kind of this mediocre society.
Yeah, that's really
they're living in, but they're doing like just ordinary things. I think somebody was working as a janitor on one of the trains or at the train station or something. I don't remember exactly what it was, but he was whistling this song, and they were hinting at that this guy was this famous composer that decided to just frickin' go galt, go dark, go ghost, and so they were hinting that this person had serious talent. But was just working as a janitor now.
Yeah, I think one of the problems is that the reason people are working all these crazy jobs that aren't happy is why are they there? They're working a lot of these jobs because they pay a lot of money. Why do they want to make a lot of money? So that they can buy all this stuff. Why do they want to buy all this stuff? Because that is how you get. And I'm interested in your thoughts, and anybody who wants to leave a comment. That's how you get people to like you now. When you're trying to get people to like you, you say, I have a 70, 80, 100-inch flat screen TV mounted on my wall. I've got a plane. I've got a cabin. I've got boats, whatever. It's always about your accessories that you need money to buy. And to get the money, you got to work all these crazy jobs. But and the other thing is you can't walk away from the job because you got to buy this stuff or else people might not like you. So I'm almost wondering, because I have a friend who's from another country, and he says, and he's not saying this like derogatory. He just says Americans are the biggest workaholics he's ever seen, and he just doesn't understand why. He's like, you guys don't want to take vacations, you don't want to do any of this stuff. And I was trying to think about because he was asking me why are we such workaholics? I'm not, that's also because I don't need stuff. And I was thinking about it, and I thought, well, that's because so many people feel like they need to buy stuff. They need to accumulate so much stuff in order to, or also social status. Like
I was going to say that.
I think it's more of that.
Yeah.
I think it's. I mean, me growing up, I was always top of my class in school. I was always the curve breaker. I was always the curve wrecker. I mean, I quote unquote won through all of schooling. I was basically the best. I was the smartest. I was talented. I could write. I could draw. I could do all these things, right? And when I got to be an adult, I thought, well, this is when it's all going to reap the rewards. Now, surely exactly. Surely this society is going to value talents and smarts and skills and being the best and all that. And I think what it is that people want to win. They want to feel successful. They want to feel like the curve breaker, curve wrecker. They want to feel like that kid felt who was always getting 100% on the tests all throughout school. And I was so jealous of that motherfucker. And I'm just going to work and work and work and work until I achieve success. And it's just never enough. They never reach that point where they feel like enough's enough. And so they don't know what the feeling feels like. So they just keep working and working and working. And before you know it, they're dead. Where I know what the feeling feels like. I know what the work world is like. And I'm like, fuck this shit. I'm going to enjoy my life. This is not worth it. I peaked in high school. Okay, whatever. Fine. I'm going to enjoy my life now. All you other asshole, all the other pathetic people can just ruin your lives and waste all your time chasing after this brass ring that you're never going to get.
Right, but that kind of goes back to, so if people were workaholics and that was it, then that would be one thing. But now we have all this debt, like personal debt. We've got credit card debt. We've got all this stuff. And I think, Cappy, you've given a couple examples in your books. I think it was Enjoy the Decline or Bachelor Pad Economics, one of those two, where there was a couple that made a combined personal income of around 200 grand or 400.
300. Yeah, I remember.
And you were talking about all the stuff that they were spending money on when they could have spent it on all this other stuff, but they had to make that amount of money so that they could buy those things, so that they could get status with people around them. I don't know. I feel like that's half the reason people do stuff, is so that they can buy their way into a certain social stratum.
I will answer the question.
Oh, go ahead.
I will explain it, because I'll give you the correct answer. That's what it was in the olden days. Those people are my age, maybe even a little bit older. And DT probably remembers this. Like, you had to have Cavaricci jeans or Jordan Air Nike high tops.
Guess jeans, yeah.
Guess jeans, France Varney. I thought that was, after going through, I thought that was the default nature of human beings, until all of a sudden the late 90s came around. People started grunging up. They didn't care. But it was definitely a materialism back in the day, where you had to have this type of brand name, you had to have these type of shoes, you had to have this type of car. Now that still continues today, but I'd say with your generation there, TJ, the perfect example, and not only how they are materialists, but I'd say they are more status seekers. Have you guys heard of this David Hogue guy over at Google that sent out the Twitter about Republicans burning in hell and all that?
Yeah, I heard briefly about it, but
it's just another. It's just another Google bigwig that hates Republicans, hates conservatives, thinks we're Nazis. But I'm supposed to believe Google is not biased anyway. So it's just another one of them. And he made a very, I'd say, he certainly has the right to make the tweet, but a very, I won't even say inappropriate. Just a hateful. That's the best way. A hateful post against Republicans, saying they all deserve to burn in hell. Women should be laughing as we're burning, and And I looked at his LinkedIn profile. He's been at Google, software developer lead, all this other stuff. And what I think people want now more than anything else is exactly what they've been conditioned to have, because he was the epitome of what I call the Silicon Valley slave. This guy, I always wondered, like, how could you bust your ass off to be a computer developer or a software engineer? Somehow you worked really hard, you make six figures, and then you vote for the socialists. You vote for the parasites. You're for the parasites. Well, I sat and thought it through, and it's a brilliant achievement, a victory on the part of leftists to brainwash basically TJ's generation and younger, to say this is what you should want and this is what you need. So when it was our day in the 80s and the 90s, it was like, you should want these things. In TJ's generation and younger, it's you should strive to have these statuses or positions. So he is the poster child of a dupe and a slave and a sheep, yet with an IQ probably super higher than mine, where he's living in Silicon Valley. He's got to commute. He's got to pay overpriced rent. He's got to pay insane taxes. This guy, when you account for everything he's got to shell out to taxpayers, to welfare recipients and other parasites that take all of his money, to ordinances that jack up his rent, the amount of time he enslaves himself to a leftist organization, a semi-quasi-political organization like Google. I know they produce some stuff, but let's not kid ourselves. They have that. He has this. He probably at one time maybe was born a Christian, but he's replaced that religion with a new one. Although he's probably thinks himself so intelligent for being an atheist or agnostic, doesn't realize he replaced it with another religion. Thinks himself terribly independent-minded when he is parroting everything he said he was going to do. And he has the coveted six-figure, high-paid job at a tech firm in Silicon Valley. And that is what every one of these kids have been channeled and programmed and brainwashed to want and desire, when all it is is you're a hardworking, high-powered battery for everyone else to parasite on. Think about the genius of how they got this guy to not only waste his life and slave away and work real hard in school, but to continue to waste his life, slave away, commute, work real hard, send all of his resources and money, practically all of it, down the drain for other people. And then he still advocates that system. He's still a true believer, and he still thinks Republicans are evil because we dare demand proof and evidence.
I think. Oh, go ahead. You go first, PJ.
I think that what it is so in American society, we're not, unlike Europe and other areas. I know that's not the case anymore, but they had the aristocracy. America doesn't really have an aristocracy, so there's no hierarchy that's natural. You're not born into a position, so it's got to be whatever somebody's able to impose. This guy is trying to elevate his status in the hierarchy. And I'm guessing it was, depending on it, like his demographic or whatever, he has to say this stuff outwardly in order to be elevated up. Because all of his accomplishments, working a high-paying job and whatever, that doesn't get you status anymore. And you're right, Aaron. It is a status issue. It's just you have to. The way you move up in society is by being a victim of a certain politically correct, whatever you want to call it, but it's also espousing the right views. Like that's the new form of virtue, is holding the right ideas and espousing them. And the lower you start out on the hierarchy, the more and more, I'd say, harsh your rhetoric has to be to compensate.
See, I was going to say, at least this guy that you're describing, Clary, is consistent. I mean, he's achieving to support the system that he endorses, right? I mean, he supports the welfare state. And so maybe he's going into it with his eyes wide open that he's making all this money, has done all this work so that other people can parasite off of him. The people that drive me nuts are people like us who keep on showing up, 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week, 60 hours a week at their high stress job, working their asses off and paying taxes and being taken advantage of. And they continue to do it. They don't try to find a way out, like I guess we have.
They don't buy a property in South Dakota and thumb your nose and Mark Dayton.
I might be joining you out there. So, that those are the people that drive me even more crazy. Are the people that say, well, we can't go protest because we're too busy working. And it's like, well, why are you too fucking busy working? You're a chump. You're a sucker. I mean, and so that's what I actually respect the mindset of, oh yeah, I support this government welfare system that we've got, and that's why I show up at work and put in my time. I'm doing my part, versus the people that are completely dead set against it, know it's completely wrong, and yet they still enable it anyway through their hard work and just wasting their life.
What do you detest more, the conservatives, quote, Republicans, especially the ones that you and I ran into? We went to that laughable joke of a Republican meeting, who still slave away. They have material, they have debt, but they still slave away. Or the Silicon Valley guy, who I almost guarantee you, even though he's a white male, he probably believes that he benefited unfairly and that he owes some kind of reparations on an individual level. What churns your stomach more?
The guys on our side that keep doing it. It's just
really?
It's maddening. Oh yeah. The people on their side, if that's the life they choose from themselves, fine. You're doing exactly what. At least they're consistent. At least they're following through. Now the people who are on welfare that are voting for those people really disgust me. But as far as productive people, if you're productive and you're perfectly willing to pay these high taxes, then I guess you're consistent. But the guys on our side that keep slaving away when the country hates them, I don't get it.
Well, they're only Republican or conservative or capitalists on a inch level or a stage one thinking level. They don't go think about the ramifications of economics and what. Guarantee you could ask those people, what is money? And they'll never inevitably make it to the point that it's time. Well, then what the fuck are you doing commuting and X, Y, and Z? They've never made, they obviously haven't made that jump. They would have minimalized like you. They would have done without. They would have spent time with their family and so forth. They're still your basic bitch Republicans is what they could be perfectly described as. They are just 20, 25 years older than they were in middle school where they had to have the Cavaricci jeans or whatever, except now it's a luxury SUV for wifey poo. They need their McMansion. They need their sleds. They need whatever else. The kids need that. The kids need
They're
this.
playing by rules that have completely been replaced with new rules. And I think that that is the thing for them. They'll never admit this, but I think that this is what it is. They invested their life according to a set of rules that they were told. And they discovered that those rules. So, Cappy, when you go to these meetings and you tell these people this stuff, what they're hearing is that everything we've centered our lives around and made life choices about was based on false assumptions. We were defrauded, and so for them to admit that, it's humiliating. I mean, think about a guy who was just told, if you just do the right thing and you work hard and you show up on time and all this stuff.
I know a guy like that. His name's DT. He's an engineer.
No, I'm just thinking of guys who did all the right thing and they show up on time and they never missed a day of class and they never missed.
That was me.
Right. And then they show up one day to find out that, they're getting divorce papers served to them and they're losing everything. Or their country, like they lose their job because of a political like just something where they just feel totally betrayed. And I think that that's what for a lot of them it is they just don't want to admit that they've been had. And that it's not that they did something wrong per se. It's that when they've been presented with evidence and they're not willing to change, more importantly, when they're not willing to let the younger generation make different choices based on the reality, because they're like, no, this is the way it was for us. Well, guess what? We don't live in 1960 anymore. I know it's hard for a lot of them to accept that, but that is the situation. We live in the year 2018. We don't live in the same America. We've got to make different life choices based on how things have changed, and you have to let it go. But they won't. They won't do that.
No, but
I agree.
I wouldn't even say that you got to let the younger people. They've been just as conditioned, and they voluntarily go and make the exact same mistakes. Maybe I'm too idealistic and hopeful that if you are presented with evidence that you've been had, you would get pissed and then immediately make changes to salvage whatever remaining years you have left on the planet. But I guess you're right, TJ. I look at how people have empirically behaved, both conservative, liberal, or it's quite apolitical, it doesn't matter. People don't want to admit they're wrong. They don't want to acknowledge that they wasted their lives, and they're going to condemn themselves to waste their entire lives so they continue living the lie and they don't have to face that mental pain and anguish.
Also think about the fact, I mean, and you've mentioned this, Aaron, in your books, which everybody, by the way, should.
I wrote books?
Yeah. Well, you wrote about, and I can just tell you this from my own personal experience. If they do this, most of the people around them will not follow. So they are going to end up, just by making the right choices, they're going to limit their social circles, because
like me.
Well, yeah, other people are going to notice, oh, he's doing things differently. Oh, he did a drop in his job. He's taking a really low job. Why is he doing that? Everybody suddenly gets insecure about themselves. They don't want somebody who makes them feel insecure. That's just the thing. This is a lesson for all the young bucks here. If you make people feel insecure, they will not want you to be around. And that is a very hard life truth. So when you find it hard to find and make friends, a lot of that now it may be your fault. I'm not saying it's not, but a part of it may be you are just, getting so far in life and you're making life choices that are smart, and you're in shape, you're getting good grades, you've got your life together. It makes other people feel insecure. They don't want that kind of person around.
Wait a minute. Wait, TJ, you telling me that when I go to a house party and I'm talking to the somewhat still reasonably attractive 40-year-old mom of 2 and her fat bald husband who can barely make payments on the car and the mortgage. And I tell them about my motorcycling, hiking, adventures, and how I'm a ballroom dancer, salsa dancing, author, YouTuber, blogger, asshole consult. Are you saying that might intimidate them?
There is a slight possibility. There is a slight possibility, Cappy. I'm just saying. Just throwing it out there.
The herd does not like the outliers. They do not like the outliers, and that's I mean, it's
right, and that's I think
Nietzsche talks about it, that if the herd likes you, you're sort of doing something wrong, because they do not like people that are better than the herd, because they want to kind of keep things herd like. They want to keep it mediocre, and this idea that the cream rises to the top, it's bullshit. Yeah.
Well, I think that
TJ, let me get your vocabulary, because you are a real journalist and author. There is an axiom a rule or a principle. What's the difference between an axiom versus a rule?
An axiom is almost getting to the heart of something. It's like a statement that is if I'm going to use a definition straight from the dictionary, it's like self-evidently true, or something that's already been, depending on how it's used. If it's in
like Aaron Clary is awesome, that's an axiom because it's evidently true.
Yeah, we don't agree. But going back to the whole.
Well, hang on. I didn't just ask you for shits and giggles what an axiom is. Oh, thanks, TJ. And thus concludes vocabulary with TJ.
You got 100 points, Sting.
Thanks, TJ. All right, moving
on.
No.
Daily double.
I'll tell you this, because what we're doing, and TJ, you're there. You just happen to be 10 years younger than me, and DT, you're certainly there with the house paid off. And this is a warning to everybody listening, both men and women. And just because it's nowhere near as brave, but to a certain extent, we are pioneering new lands. It's like Daniel Boone or Chuck Yeager. We're going out into outer space. We haven't really been here before. Not a lot of humans have. And the axiom, we'll just use it, that I've found is that if you start going where the herd aren't, and you are making the right choice, you are doing the right thing, you know who you end up hanging out with?
Us?
The wolves.
Old people.
Oh.
Old wise men. That's who you end up hanging out with. Like when I go do my writing in the morning, I get up and I go right at the coffee store. Well, guess who's there?
Right.
All the old guys having their morning coffee, and they're talking this and that, and how to solve the world's problems, and then because they're retired, they spent their money, and these aren't dumb poor old men. These are rich guys working over at the Shelby Mustang Museum, and they all got Shelbys themselves. Then you go golfing. Well, guess who I'm golfing with at 11 a.m. on a Tuesday?
With the older guys.
Right. I'm not golfing with a 32-year-old.
I mean,
single babe,
that's funny you say that. That is absolutely true, because at one point in my life, I had amassed a significant percentage of older men who I spent time with socially, and I was kind of wondering why am I hanging out with people who are so much older than me? This was years ago, back when there was a lot more World War II generation type people. I just loved being around them because they had that wisdom that we talk about on the podcast almost as like it's brand new. No, it's just stuff that got lost in the zeitgeist over the last 60 years or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they say stuff that we say it's controversial. They say it's funny on that. But yeah.
Well, what were you going to say then after the axiom crisis?
Well, I think the thing is, a lot of people agree with what we say, and they know it's true. And what kills them is they just don't have the courage to make the change because they know what it will cost them. Mm-hmm. They know it's going to cost them people that they care about. And I'm not unsympathetic. If you know that making changes in your life is going to cause you to lose friendships or a social circle with people that you genuinely care about, but they're just not going in life where you want to go. It's not easy. I mean, you were mentioning we're being pioneers. It's not that far away of an analogy, because think about it. If people in England or France or Germany wanted to immigrate here to America, they had to leave everybody else behind. They were never going to see them again, likely. And so you weren't saying that you didn't love them, but you're saying, I want a different life and a better life, and I'm going to get it over here. And if I have to lose relationships because of that, then that's kind of what a pioneer in a sense is someone who's willing to give up relationships for something that is supposed to be better.
Right. Well, and DT, I mean, you gave up the career, and look at you. You got you have the envy. I mean, if people are mature and wise enough about it, you have the envy of every parent. You got to spend time and raise your kids and spend summers with them, have a good old time with them.
Right. And I was just thinking here, listening to you guys talk a little bit, and just how people people have a choice when they come across people like us. They can either, and just people that have their shit together, or are really smart, or are really good at what they do, good musicians, who have people of real talent. When kind of ordinary people, or people that, are less talented, or, still in debt or whatever, when they come across these people, you have two ways to respond. You can either look at them and go, oh shit, they're making me feel really bad about myself because I'm not as successful as them, so I hate that person, I don't want to hang out with that person anymore. Or you look at them and go, holy shit, I could learn a lot from this person, I should actually listen to what they have to say.
And I pay him at AssleConsulting.com.
And I think most people are the latter, are the former. Sorry. Most people are the former, that they don't like hanging around with successful people because it makes them look bad or makes them feel bad. There's very few people that look at someone and go, holy shit, that guy's a great musician, I want to learn from them. That person makes me feel like nothing, so I'm going to learn from that person. I probably will never be as good as that person, but I'm going to seek that person out because I want to become better. And most people do not take that opportunity. And you just see it, how people vote. You see it everywhere. That they're more concerned with how they feel about themselves and their own success than they are about actually improving themselves and becoming better.
Yeah, one piece of advice I would give to any young men listening to this podcast is that if you encounter somebody who is a little bit older or your same age and is really good at something that you want to learn how to do, and they're friendly enough to where they're willing to let you be around them, you should go spend time with them, because they're gonna, just by being around them, you will improve yourself at whatever they're good at. Like, for example, if there's some guy in his 30s and you're in your late teens, he's really good at home improvement. Just go help him on a home improvement project.
Right.
And it totally won't be gay.
Right, exactly. It's not tool time.
Gosh, I'm just like the mentoring is so key for learning stuff. And I think it's I remember talking to an older guy at Home Depot when I was working there to pay for college, and he was just lamenting how he had all this knowledge and stuff. Funny, you're saying a guy who I think he downgraded his job, but he was just lamenting how much knowledge he had and how there was nobody to teach it to, because nobody was interested in learning it. And I'm wondering how many of those people who could have learned just felt intimidated instead of saying, I'm actually interested in learning this stuff. And then you've got someone who's learned a skill, a valuable skill, and this other person also feels like they have a greater meaning and purpose in life because they got to help another person get farther in life.
And that's the crazy thing about political opinions and stuff too. Just getting back to, are you going to learn from somebody, or are you going to condemn them and reject them? Right. Those are the two choices.
That's a good parallel you just drew there. That's absolutely right.
That's the two choices that you've got. And when I'm saying my political opinions to people who know me, they know how successful I am. They know how smart I am. They know how I did in school. They know how I've done in my career, how they know everything about me, right? And yet they won't listen to me on these things that I've taken a lot of time and a lot of effort to figure out in my own head, the truth and how I think about politics and how I think about whatever, and they'll just disregard it. And it's like, why are you listening to these fucking losers over here when you know me, you know my heart, you know my mind, you're my family, you're my friend, you're whatever, and you're rejecting me? What the fuck is wrong with you? Why don't you listen?
Lies sell better. Thus Operation Evil, DT.
Right.
This is going to be I'll be like the first converted to the dark side, and then I will be the emperor. I'll like, come join us, DT. You'll be like, never.
But it's
You're
not. But
my friend.
Strangers though strangers when they hear your opinions could be suspicious of your motives, right? I mean that's but your friends, your family, people that have known you your whole life, if they're rejecting your opinions on these things, and you know that's where I'm sort of at the point, and it's getting back to the whole idea of having respect for yourself. Why are you slaving away at your job? Why are you slaving away in your own families and with your own friends with people that hate you? This whole Kavanaugh thing has really it's I don't think it's at rock bottom. I think it's going to go down into the mantle or even into the core, but it's not going to get better. So when are people going to realize that it's just not worth it? Even some of these relationships you might have with family, if you're regretting going to Christmas or Easter or to birthday parties or whatever, oh God, I'm gonna have to talk to Uncle whoever who starts shrieking about me being a Nazi or a Republican or that I hate women or whatever. Fuck it, don't go. Don't. You're the prize. You're worth it. You know, you got your shit figured out. If people are looking at you and feeling bad about themselves and rejecting you rather than going, holy crap, this guy's got his shit together and I've known him my whole life, maybe I should actually listen to what he has to say. You should just write these people off.
Right.
That's hugely important advice for two groups of people. One would be young people, but unfortunately they don't have the I wouldn't say vantage points or that. If your family is ideological, like they're ideologues and they're pushing you to go to school or college because that's what you're supposed to do, and they don't have the knowledge or the wisdom or the independent thought, that's one instance where you got to walk away from your family. But you don't know that. The second and more practical instance where I think this could help a lot of people because they intuitively know, is when I get emails, unfortunately a couple too many, from young black men whose family just treats them like shit. And you think treat like shit, oh, what, you forgot no, like mom has you working at 14 and then you got to give her your money so she can go do her crack problem. God. Your mom, we talked about the instance because it's more than once where they threatened to disown the kid because he was going to leave as an adult. One was going to go into engineering, no one was going to be military because she get less Section 8 housing. And that's just where you're a veritable slave. But then if you don't vote Democrat, you're a fucking Uncle Tom or you're Oreo or whatever else. Either instance, either or, you need to be able to walk away from your family, especially if they're toxic. And not even if they're toxic, if they're wrong, then you don't. It's not saying that you disown them, but you don't listen to their advice anymore. Yeah, like I always got a kick out of like what we called it. You guys know the key to my success. You want to know what the key to my success was?
Do tell.
Monkey see, monkey don't do. I saw my parents not do the most fucked up shit, but they fucked up. They got divorced. They majored in stupid crap, and they had more kids than they could afford. Those three things right there would explain most of the poverty every poor person has. And I learned that it was monkey see, monkey don't do. That doesn't mean I don't love my folks. It's just like, the fuck, if I'm going to listen to what you guys are, and I didn't listen to a damn word my parents said, because you know what? All my buddies at the school have an Atari 2600 game, and I don't have it. And all my buddies over there, they got these type of shoes, and I don't have them. I have Velcro shoes from Walmart. I'm getting the shit kicked out of me in grade school because I don't have the right shoes. The fuck if I'm going to do what you people say. I think what a lot of people, regardless of race, or it doesn't really matter, but you got to look at your family and say, are they successful? Like you point out there, DT, is Uncle Bob, who's calling you a Nazi, is he successful? Is he happy? And for women, my God, You women are listening to feminists. Have you seen how happy and successful they are? What the fuck are you listening to them for? I mean, don't listen to your happy grandmother that was cherishly married to your grandfather of 50 years that had, what the fuck that old grand old lady? She don't know jack shit. No, you want to listen to the 42-year-old pissed off gray hair Rachel Maddow glass wearing
boxed wine.
Yeah, box of wine auntie. You want to listen to her because she made junior partner at a law firm and she traveled to Turkestan.
Oh, just to throw this out, there's 2 super chats.
Cool, let's get to those.
Okay, so it's another one from Darius, $5. He says, in some parts of Europe, half the workers are government employees and they get 2 to 3 months vacation time. Moochers also get their free time on the dole. And yeah, that's part of the problem with the EU is that there's the productive sector of the European Union, which would be like Germany, and then there's others that don't work at all.
Not to interrupt, but this doesn't happen anymore because it was so embarrassing. It would happen that in Italy and France, they'd have vacation, and they'll take a month or 2 of vacation. And at the time, everything was government owned, particularly the nursing homes and the hospitals. And too many people would take off, and then you'd have swaths of old people dying, like hundreds of people dying if the weather got too nice down in the south of France. Oh my God. Yeah, it was, I mean, hundreds. This is in the 90s, but hundreds would die. It was very sad.
Yeah. And then the another one was from Yosoy Chaparrito. I know Spanish, so I should.
That's probably Atham, because he calls me El Chaparrito, which means little man. Is it 666? Does it say 666?
No, it's just Yosoy. I was like realizing, I was like, yeah, I know Spanish. It's saying I am okay. Got it. He says, thank goodness for siestas. Yeah, for those of you who don't know, I'm assuming you all do, but whatever. In countries like Spain, they take off. I think it's around noon. All the businesses just shut down. They just take a break. So that's
why Spain is the global dominant superpower that it is today.
So there's got to be a balance between that and say a country where you go and ask for some vacation time and your boss looks at you like you want to sacrifice your child to the devil or something like that. Like, vacation, why would you ever want to do anything like that? No, we need you, and we need you on call at all times. If I call you at 12 a.m., I expect to be able to get a hold of you. When I send you emails, I
expect to fuck your wife then, sir. Or your daughters, whoever is less fat.
Dude, I've heard stories of, especially in the tech industry, like that whole thing. It's getting to the point where I'm just wondering, and I'm waiting. We don't have to talk about this for the rest of the podcast, but just when they're going to start putting residential units on corporate campuses like Google, Amazon, Microsoft, whatever. Because what is the point of leaving? What's the point of going home?
Well, that's why I said that David Hogue guy and those Silicon Valley slaves, they're wrong.
They think they're right, but they're wrong. They got the sleep pods. And then it's like, it's going to almost be like a company town type thing.
Oh, hey, hang on. This is perfect. Let's bring this in. You sent me this article. I've been wanting to talk. Let's talk about this and then we'll kind of wrap it up because I know you guys got to get going. I got to go back to writing. This is from the Daily Mail, which is not terribly trustworthy. It is a tabloid, and I know some professional radio show hosts always cite this, but do take it with a pinch of salt. Cheerleaders for the office. Chinese tech companies hiring pretty women to motivate male employees by chatting, playing ping pong, and buying them breakfast. This is great. Like the fucking commies are more in tune with reality than the goddamn capitalist over at Silicon Valley. Chinese companies appear to be hiring women to motivate male workers. My God, really? Men have been motivated by youth and beauty and looks of women, you don't say? Photos show women chatting with the programmers and playing ping pong. They have been dubbed programming cheerleaders by the company. This is brilliant. The role is to create a fun work environment for men. HR managers say they help the males who are terrible at socializing. They also say girls have greatly improved their job efficiency and drive. No shit! the fucking shit? Really? You think guys busted their asses off, went to war just so we could play video games? Really? It wasn't because of pussy and good-looking women and having a supporting wife? Really?
Well, Cappy, do you remember that? Or maybe it wasn't on this podcast, but I have a book of the history of the pinup girls in World War II.
All right.
And they were wanting to ban them. I can't remember, it was some censorship board or whatever.
Oh, yeah, the lieutenant came back. Yeah,
a lieutenant in the Navy wrote back and said, no, these pinups are absolutely crucial for morale. And he says that he found like they would find soldiers dead, clutching these pictures or whatever, and just saying how it was important for them and all this other stuff. And that's what I was thinking about, how much just having an attractive girl, either we're talking about one that's just on a piece of paper or whatever, will inspire a man to do something like that. Now, they're not going to go overseas and fight a war just for that, but how much it does for morale boosting. So clearly these Chinese companies get it. And, you know, I don't know though, if we're going to see Amazon, I don't know if Amazon's going to start drone delivering these girls to
no, it's sad. In part, this explains why the birth rate is so low, why men are playing video games or watching porn. Women have been lied to about what their true point and purpose in the world is. I'm not saying you can't be an engineer, you can't be a doctor, I'm not saying any of that, but men were made for women and women were made for men. And if you want to start thinking that your life has something else to do with something else, that's fine. Prepare to be miserable and upset. And if America, how can I put it? If we pulled this off, GDP would double overnight. If you started putting pretty women back, say, hey, are you a guy? Are you working? Well, you know what? If you work hard, you'll get a pretty supportive wife. You'll get a nice girl that loves you and will take care of you. You will have men running to get into traffic jams to go work their job. Now you've had to supplement it with things like status. Oh, you have the right political thing. Hell, a lot of these guys say leftist and repeat leftist parroting words just so they think that it might get them in with women. It's gone. It's too late. They have wasted two generations of women where they have no incentive, no desire to get married, no desire to help out men, no desire to be that pretty or sought after girl. None of them. And so now you have a completely demoralized and disincentivized male population that all they're going to do is, I'm going to work so I can maybe get a fancy car, But after that, these guys are going to turn into DT and myself, where it's like, what? Spend $2 on a used shirt at Goodwill because it's fancy? Are you nuts? I can get 2 gallons of milk for that over at Aldi's.
You know what the crazy thing is? If a girl is like 18, 19, 20 and an entrepreneur, you know what she's going to do? She's going to go out and start a business where she basically just encourages men, gives them compliments, just says you're a hard worker, whatever, and, you know, charges by the hour. And then she goes to companies and just says, I will help improve workplace efficiency.
God almighty, yeah. TJ, that is oh my God. Yeah, I know a bunch of, that is brilliant, TJ.
Yeah,
that's a great idea.
No, it's almost dystopian to where you just have a girl who like her job in the office is just to go around and encourage the men. And she dresses very nice. She's not dressed, like trashy or whatever. She's dressed like
a girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice dress. Yeah, nice dress, nice hair, nice dress,
and like, oh, this is brilliant. Whoever performs the most efficient or just whatever the metrics are, like she basically makes him meals at work.
A sandwich. Make him a sandwich.
Yeah. And goes and like compliments him and just says how hard of a worker he is and how much she appreciates all that other stuff. It sounds pathetic, but guys, take a look around you, Helen. We're in the thresholds of hell.
Yeah, I was just looking up the whole missing women of China. So it makes sense that this works over there because the sex imbalance is so huge. There's not enough women to go around in China. And so, yeah, it would totally make sense because of their one-child policies and everything that's happened over the last few decades that now guys, they could just get motivated by any female interaction at all because there's just not enough women to go around. So what's missing in America? I mean, we don't have the sex imbalance like China. I mean, that's the reason why it's working there. Here, it's the quality woman, right? It's the traditional
absolutely.
quality woman. And so if you were a consultant and just I'm gonna do the, you know, I'm gonna go make a sandwich and wear a nice flowered print dress and have my hair nice, you know, kind of the 50s style or whatever, and you know, give the guy a back rub or a foot massage or something like that if he does a good job.
Well, that's the other crazy thing is, imagine it's like you're a guy or a man and you make a lot of money, you don't want to get married, you want to whatever, but you hire a girl to basically come over and cook your meals and clean or whatever, and basically act. And I like the whole, people will say, well, isn't that going to move into prostitution? No. Her only thing is to just come over and act like a wife and just be really sweet and kind and cute and whatever. And then, you know, makes dinner, makes a really good meal. She knows how to cook. She can make homemade pasta or whatever. And that's it.
It's the visiting angels.
I'm just saying, like, we could see that happen. Well, we're not going to see it happen because I don't think that would require too much work. Cappy, you talked about how hard it was just to get models for your.
Christ!
They would be shamed.
It's like
they would be shamed. Yeah,
that will happen if there's an economic downturn. You
don't know how accurate you are. During the Great Recession, there were several articles written about how women were turning to prostitution. It was depressing prostitution hourly rates. A lot of women were resorting to that. Now, this is not prostitution, although I guess in a philosophical sense, maybe it is. But this would never get past HR. Every female in the office would bitch and whine and complain and file a Title 10 or Title 9 or sums up my massage complaint. It would just, you'd have to do it so clandestinely. You know what you could do? Oh, no, then the hiring manager who got busted, he'd be busted. If you could actually hire good-looking women, say, look, here's the deal. Just walk in. We're going to give you a corner cube or something like that. I don't care if you're playing social media or what. I don't care what you're doing. Just dress nice and look nice, and you will double the productivity of the men there. But you would have to make it like she was a regular hire. You couldn't have something designated as an office cheerleader to cheer on these men, unless you had a division of all men, you know, like working in the warehouse or something. But yeah, it could never happen here in the United States. You want to know why?
But obviously they're going to get sued.
No, because women don't want men to have fun. That's basically why in America, women don't want American men to have fun. They don't want us to be happy. They don't want us to be joyful. They want us to be miserable.
But guys, we have to account for something. Female competition. If a girl knows that she can outcompete all the other girls in an environment, she is not that is what will get girls to light a fire in their motivation.
I couldn't disagree with you more.
Oh, really?
I could not disagree. You think sending Cutesy Magoo down at the office is going to get those sows in HR to go hit the treadmill?
No. That's going to motivate her to be there because she gets to flout the fact that she is getting all the attention, right? Like she's able to outcompete all these other females for attention, right? Like you gotta follow me where
she would feel good, but the herd does not like outliers.
But that's the point is
they'd turn on her in an instant.
They'll do that if they're the ones who can outcompete everyone else, all the other girls. They'll do that if they can outcompete them, but they won't do it if they can't. So if you've got a 20-year-old, like she's gonna love it. She's gonna love the fact that she just walks in and she gets all this attention for free without having to do
money.
And money, yeah. And so of course the others aren't gonna like it, but that's not. I guess my point is that what will motivate them is when it comes to competition, if they're better than all the others in that.
Right. I'm not saying you wouldn't get women to do this. You certainly would. And there's certainly some savvy, young, smart girls out there. They're rare, but there are some. And if they want a quick way to put themselves through engineering school or whatever, they could certainly do this. But what I'm saying is American females and today's modern work fragilities and eggshells are simply never going to allow that. They would, and they have the perfect excuse. They'll give the excuse that it's sexist. The real reason is fat, ugly sows don't like being one up by a good looking gal in the office. That's and they don't want to admit that we achieved greatness in society. Society advances predominantly through the economic production and innovation of men. They don't dare want to admit that.
Right.
So they're not. That is going to be.
I'm just saying.
No way they're going to go anywhere near that.
If there's a 20-year-old girl listening to this, this is a business idea, entrepreneurial idea, and I don't know what else to say. Like this is I'm talking now. We're venturing into unicorn fantasy land territory right now.
You're talking. You're thinking that these girls. You think these girls are going to go set up an LLC?
Howard Hughes's mind in Gene Tierney's body. So where they can go exploit all this, but they don't. And that's kind of what I'm not amazed by it. It's just, I find it fascinating that there's this ability, if a girl was willing at age 20 to just basically just do the bare minimum, for service, just go around for your job where you will go. Now I know that there's, a lot of genuinely creepy guys and psycho guys might, spoil the waters or whatever. But the whole idea is that they could take advantage of the low quality, and just by being normal, they can outcompete and also make money off that.
What I just thought? There is an example. There's an example of this in pop culture from, I don't know, the 70s, 80s. WKRP, the show. Jennifer Marlowe, the front desk chick. She was the highest paid person at the radio station. And everybody wanted her attention, and she would hand out praise to the owner of the station and, get people coffee and stuff like that. And that's what held the whole station together. So it's sort of, if you want an example of it, I guess, watch the old WKRP television show episodes. You guys remember that?
No.
I don't know if I watched it.
That was a little bit before my time. That was before your time. What, do you watch them on reruns or something?
Oh yeah, I love the show. I love it. But they're always they're just, they love the tension from her because she is a good person. She's smart, and so when she's complimenting people, it's for real. And yeah, the whole joke is that she's the highest paid person.
But see, that's people knew it. This was common sense. You didn't need to explain this. And let alone, if I try to explain this to women, let's just think about this. Let's say we go grab a bunch of girls in their 20s and their 30s, and I explain to them that men are primarily motivated by beauty, looks, and charm of women. And I'd be called a sexist who ran out of town, Just what? How old is that show? 40 years ago? 45 years ago?
WKRP? No, it's like early 80s.
Okay, all right. So, yeah, 40 years ago almost. 38 years ago, whatever.
Yeah.
38 years ago, it was a given. Hey, men are motivated by women. They'll slay dragons. They'll climb mountains. Now, we can't use that fact that has generated male productivity and innovation and creation in all of civilization since 2 million years ago. We cannot tap into that resource. It's almost like rejecting nuclear power. What? This unlimited source of energy that would solve? Oh, we don't want that. Let's get some windmills.
You know what I'd point out to people who'd argue about that? Explain cheerleaders.
Right.
Well, this is cheerleaders.
Yeah, but my point is, like, if you refer to that in the workplace environment, it's considered evil. But then you say, oh, so you're saying we should abolish cheerleaders for football teams? Well, no. Oh, so maybe we should abolish the attire that they wear because they're not exactly dressed like nuns from a convert, right? So this whole idea that doesn't motivate people, then why do we have like predominantly attractive young females as cheerleaders? For sports
they
teams?
incentivize the guys to go beat up the other guys.
My point is
the USO for the military, when the USO tour, the Fredericks of Hollywood chick The model was the chick that was with Al Franken when the whole grabbing the booby whole controversy happened. She was on the USO tour, and I'm like, this chick looks familiar. Oh yeah, that's the Fredericks of Hollywood chick that I whacked off to when I was young. Oh, I recognize her.
I'm just saying, like, what we consider it people would deny it's true, but then you start pointing out where it is still acceptable implicitly, which is cheerleading. Cheerleading is predominantly female. It's predominantly and they're not exactly dressed in.
Well, they're working on getting rid of that. They got rid of the F1 racer girls. Now they have guy cheerleaders.
Right. So they're getting rid of it, but it's a vestige of that. And the problem is, I think, well, anyways, my point is it's still around. And so when people would deny that in the workplace, I would say, well, why do we have cheerleaders in sports?
TJ, you still worry that this is going to be a conversation you have sometime in the future? Like someone's actually
trying to work it out.
No, I'm not worried about it. I just think it's funny. I just think it's funny that if you brought this up, people in the workplace, it's like, oh, I just think we should have a bunch of young girls in their 20s, just really inspiring the men. Oh, that's sexist. Oh, really? So why do we do that for football? Well, it's different. Yeah, boomer.
All right. Anything else in the super chats?
Let me check here.
It was a productive day.
Oh, that was it for the super chats. Yep.
Cool. All right. If you guys would like the video, subscribe to Older Brother YouTube channel. What else? Go to CaptainCapitalism.blogspot.com and click on all the links and the banners for books and everything else. New book will be coming out shortly, but it will be anonymous, and I will not be able to say I published it. But you might see a book out there that might be of interest, and maybe it's the one I write. So go ahead and buy it. DT, where can we find you?
Blackbrigade.org and happynihilist.net. I still have not done anything. This working 40 hours a week is just killing me. Yeah, I don't know how you guys work 50. I don't know how you guys work 60. I'll hear 40 hours a week. What's that? Oh, ha, 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 ha. Hardworking sucker. 40 hours a week sucks too. So, but I haven't had time. I will see it. That might change in the winter time, I think. And when it gets too cold to do anything outside, I think I'll have some more time.
Good. I'm gonna send you my time card the past 5 days, and then you can feel shame. TJ,
what's 40 hours a week like, DT?
All right, you can go to tjmartinell.com. That's where you'll find my weekly podcast and also links to my books. I've got a new book that will be coming out in the next couple of weeks called The Redeemers. You can check out the other books on my website, tjmartinell.com.
Cool. And then to shout out to our other co-hosts that are out there, we have Michael Kingswood. You can find him at noncommunistsciencefiction.com. You can also find the safety doc, at safetyphd.com. I got to download his podcast and do his interviews. I got to listen to that because he put out a couple. And then Ann Sturzinger, look her up. I think it's AnnSturzinger.com. Doesn't she have her own website?
Think so.
Yeah, AnnSturzinger.com. And then John Steele, you can find the John Steele Show on YouTube as well. It's spelled Steele. And I hope he had some interviews too, because he does have some really interesting interviews. So, all right, gentlemen, thanks for being on the show. Next week should be back to normal, and I won't be in such a foul mood. I'll be in a slightly less foul mood.
And I won't be here next week. So
you won't? All right.
Yeah, I got a conflict. So no DT next week. Oh, crocodile tears.
Okay. All right, gentlemen, have a good night. And thanks everybody for tuning in. Toodles.